Whether you're a die-hard fan or just looking for a good laugh, this monthly series promises to deliver the unexpected with a dash of humor. Tune in as Gene and BT dissect the what-the-fuck moments that makes pro wrestling the exciting spectacles they are. It's time to let loose and embrace the madness with the WTF News Desk, where Gene and BT bring you the 10 strangest and most fun topics each month, leaving you entertained, amused, and eagerly awaiting the next episode.
All right, we're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is an STSPod.club production. This is episode 90 of WTF News Desk and episode 991, getting close to that 1,000, Gene, of STSPod.club. Gene, it feels so nice out today. Even Duke ain't even panting out there. Oh, it is a nice day here in Jonesboro. I want everyone to know there's all kinds of rumors about Gene. Gene is not a hot child in the city. He's not wild, and he's not pretty. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, Rosie, but that's what happens. He's from Gadsden, Alabama, home of the Gadsden City Titans high school team. They have, you're not going to believe this, they have a 4-2 record now. When we left them, they were 1-2. They've got 3-0 conference record, and their next game is tomorrow night, Friday Night Lights, in Fort Payne, Alabama, against the Wildcats, and tickets are available online. Get out there and get your tickets. Gene, he is the wrestling know-it-all for sure. He's my partner in crime, my best friend, well, most of the time. He is Gene Jackson, and together we are the talk twosome of podcasting. That kind of sounds sexual, but what the hell? How you doing, Gene?
I'm good. The weather is pleasant here. I actually raised the big bay door in our showroom today and let the breeze blow through, and it was nice.
Awesome.
Very nice for the first time this year. So hope we get more of that.
Yeah. It was raining a lot the first of the week, but it's and you know, when you work in the public, everyone likes talking about the weather. But the dog has actually been outside a lot today. That tells you when the weather's good, when he just goes out there and rolls around in the grass. I gotta admit, I did the same thing. So let's talk about business. Top 3 episodes from last month. Cassette Wrestling News, episode 11. Jerry Lawler, Brian Tramel is a fat piece of shit. Episode 866. And Gene, I'm going to give you credit for that because we were on talking about it like crazy on the USWA podcast, and everybody's going out of their way to listen. Number 2 was the WTF News Desk, episode 89, and that's episode 982. And the number 1 was episode 12. That's episode 980 of a 5-minute time limit. We have a 35% increase from last year. We have hit our 2 million plays, the fastest. We've hit it the last 3 years, but this is the fastest we've ever hit it. We broke our Instagram record by 22%. We have an 80% increase month over month on Facebook, and broke our TikTok record by 3%. I did a little experiment, and I put the same amount of videos from last month from the month before in August as I did in September to see, well, you get more following, you get more people looking at it. A little down on YouTube, but not that much. We're averaging a little over 1,000 plays a day on YouTube. Rumble and Memphis Wrestling YouTube down a little bit. But when it comes to audio plays, I just wanted to let you know we were the number 3 of all time. So the number 1 of all time is in September of 2023. January of this year was the second best, and the third best is September of this year. So apparently September is a big month for us. So yeah, audio plays out the wazoo. We gained about, I had said 56 at one time in the month, but looks like about 72 or 73 new listeners. So
Cool.
I know that don't sound like a lot to people, but what new listeners do, and Gene, what they do is they start going through the archives. So you got 73 people each listening to 10 or more shows. So it was really a motley crew full of different shows from this month. But thank you, everybody. Thank you. If you're USWA or you're listening to it on the retro, this will go directly to retro tomorrow. And Gene will put it up tomorrow on the retro feed. So you can listen to What the Fuck either on my STSPod.club feed or Gene's feed. So it helps us listen to it. Tell us what you think. And we're going to answer a question at halftime that people were asking. We made some comments about me and Gene podcasting for a while, and we're going to talk about that. So, but let's get to number 10,
Hey,
Gene.
before you blow past it, I just wanted to throw in, since you're talking about numbers, this week's USWA show that dropped last night at midnight Eastern, 11 o'clock Central, or I'm sorry, the night before, rather, has the highest number of 48, like most downloads in the first 48 hours of any episode for like the past year.
Oh, wow.
So it's picking up all over is my point there. It's not just helping over here, it's helping over there, it's helping over everywhere. So very cool. Thank you all for people who are finding one show and in turn checking out another. And like you said, those 70 something people hopefully are sharing it with other people who are sharing it with people. And that's how these things get found, and that's how people discover new podcasts and things they like, is through word of mouth and sharing. So thank you, folks. That's much appreciated. Sorry.
I know. It just it surprises me when I say, because we started out very low number. We started out a little bit better than other podcasts because we had a Wrestling Ride Online. People had remembered me from there, and those people would listen to the podcast. But like any podcast, you have to, after 8 years, you think you're going to hit a stride there. We kind of, 2023, 24, and 25 have been our best 3 years. And we might break the record this year. I'm not sure. I didn't think we'd ever break 2023 record, but it's been close. So, all right, we're going to do, this is, There's Something Strange in the Neighborhood. At number 10, we're going to start out the countdown. We do this every month where we just present strange matches and what goes on in those strange matches. And as you know, Gene, most of the time they're from DDT in Japan. Yes. We're doing something a little different this month, and I didn't send them to you because I didn't want you to research and see. I didn't want you to cheat, but we're doing something a little different this month. I'm going to give you all 3 matches that I have listed here, but one of them is not real.
Okay.
So 1 out of 3 is not real. So the first match is an all-you-can-eat gauntlet match. We have 4 participants, including our buddy Dankshu Dinero, or what the hell. See, what's his name's not here now. Hank's not here. He's not to help me. We have 3 wrestlers, plus we have a giant inflatable hot dog who's going to be the special guest. Each wrestler must wrestle while holding a tray of fast food, hamburgers, fries, and sodas. If you drop the food, you're eliminated. You can use food as weapons, ketchup packs, sodas. The inflatable hot dog automatically no-sells everything unless someone puts mustard on it. And your winner was Honda in that match. The other match is for their KO championship, KO-D open weight. It's kind of like that, the hardcore belt. You can pin them at any time and all this. So we had Hiroto against Yoshiko. Yoshiko is a wrestling doll Muppet character. And he did everything on the doll, German suplexes, had a Climactic finished when he finally put him down with the somersault powerbomb. That was our second match. And our third match, which one's real, Gene? And this one is Stop the Annoying Streamers Unicast Death Match. The two participants, say it for me, Gene.
Easy for you to say. Participants.
Yeah, participants. The gimmick was both wrestlers were on a live streaming themselves during the match, trying to beat their opponent on the stream, or force the opponent's stream off. They used phones, distractions, swantons. It was everything was part of the match. As they were streaming, they were having a match. Each person in their own house. I don't know how they did that. So, which one was the fake one, Gene?
Oh my God! I wish none of those were real.
You got a streaming match. You got a match with a puppet, or you got the all-you-can-eat gauntlet match.
I'm going to regret this because any of these could be real or not, but I'm going to say the puppet match.
All right,
is not real.
That's a good guess, but let me just help you here. All right, the puppet doll match was real from DDT.
Should have known that was real because they do that shit all the time.
So let me go ahead and tell you, the all-you-can-eat gauntlet match was fake. Let me tell you, AI came up with that one, and it sounded like a real match at DDT. The streamers match, I thought was just bizarre, but the idea, really, with as many of us as stream, it would be funny to watch, a match back and forth. But the all-you-can-eat gauntlet match, I love that about the hot dog, unless you put mustard on the hot dog. And AI came up with that. You know, some people don't like AI, but it comes up with some fun stuff. And also, in one of those matches, I just want to bring you a clip from DDT. Please, folks, if you're not watching the video, we spend some time getting this ready, and it's fun. But here's a clip from Uno from AEW in his first match at DDT. Well, I think he had an ass in his face. So that is our old buddy that kissed Tanashi last month. I can't even talk today. Do we start all over? No.
Are you having a stroke or something? Are you okay?
No, I'm all right. I was too fired up, I guess. I guess I've had too much caffeine today. But that was number 10. Fun, Gene. That was fun. We might do that every time. Next time is the next category is number 9. And what the fuck, Dave? The first thing I want to talk about is, I know this is going to surprise everybody, but the AEW style is different than the WWE style. He went on to talk about that. I thought I had a clip of it. Yeah, here we go. I wanted to comment on this. First, I said, duh. We all know we have a different style there. And I always used to say, well, we have the style of AEW with no psychology, and then we have the WWE style with psychology. Well, that's loading. We'll talk about a few other things too. Dave has went overboard on the Netflix numbers. There's this tweet. You got a chance to see that, Gene? Did you get a chance to see that tweet?
Yeah, I did.
With the whole formula and everything. Well, I tell you what, we got Dave AI on the show to explain the way he comes up with the Netflix number.
Here is the answer. If there is a TV show with 5 million viewer hours, 2.6 million
I'm sorry, Dave exploded on that.
I was really hoping his head was going to explode there, the way we were building to that.
Oh man, all that stuff is so ridiculous. You stated last month and the month before we talked about the ratings. It's like, who gives a fuck? Really, who gives a fuck? Here we go.
So Stevie Richards, the great Stevie Richards, his comments were basically that Kyle Fletcher needs to go to NXT to learn how to work. And he's not good enough for NXT yet, but he believes that Kyle Fletcher, if he went to NXT, would in time be good enough for NXT. He basically says that in AEW, guys try to do too many moves and they go so fast and blah, blah, blah. He needs that teaching to become a good wrestler, which he is not at this point. And then I watched NXT right after he said this, and it's Shawn Michaels NXT, and everyone just does move after move after move.
That was the main thing right there, and I wanted to talk about that. He just criticizing Stevie Richards, who's been in the business for how long. I don't think Dave takes offense to people that talk about his favorite wrestlers. Kyle Fletcher has turned into Dave's favorite wrestler. I actually like Kyle Fletcher, but I think he's got a long way to go. But what Stevie was trying to say is there's two different styles, and they have to go in there and learn the style of the WWE instead of doing everything that they do. What's your thoughts on the two styles there, Gene?
I mean, I think everybody should have to learn a baseline of psychology and actual wrestling to some degree, and then when once you've got that down, if you want to build off from there to all the hot spots and all the quote unquote AEW style, so be it. But I mean, then again, if you're never going to get signed by WWE and you're going to do a bunch of super indie stuff, and your goal is to get to AEW, then maybe you don't need to learn it, because where the hell are you going to use it? Certainly not there. I actually saw my very first Kyle Fletcher match last week. I decided to appease a friend of mine and actually watch an episode, or at least 2 hours of a 3-hour episode of AEW, the 6th anniversary show. So I saw him wrestle Orange Cassidy, and I didn't hate it, but a lot of DDTs that were no sold, and a lot of big, what used to be big moves that mean nothing because we just do them in multitudes and we don't sell them. I kind of get what Stevie's saying there, but then I also see why, I guess anybody working for AEW or somebody who's a super fan of AEW like Dave would take offense to that. At the end of the day, it's opinions. That's Stevie's opinion. Dave has his opinion. You have your opinion. I have mine. And everybody else in the internet wrestling community has their opinions. Who's right? Who's wrong? Well, we could argue that till the end of time. Yeah. But Dave felt offended enough by Stevie's opinion to have to single it out and talk about it there. So
I find it hard with someone like Stevie Richards, who understands the psychology of the business the way he does, for Dave just to get blasting because, well, Fletcher's the greatest thing ever kind of thing right now. Here's the thing: we talked about the style's not for us, blah blah blah. They're stars. They're top people that put on the best matches. They're all hurt. They're almost crippled now. It looks like a guy like Fletcher would understand. I know his hero is Ospreay, but what is Ospreay's out of wrestling now? They say he's coming back, but who knows? I mean, it's the style just kills you. Look at even back in the day. Look at Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid. You knew that eventually, they were going to have to stop what they were doing. Also, our final little thing with Dave was that I put Dave Tells a Lie. He made a big deal about TNA talent not allowed to work Scott D'Amore's Maple Leaf wrestling shows, but come to find out that was just something he made up. And you have talked about that from day one with the Observer. It just feels like he makes up a story or someone tells him and he just goes with the truth as if it is the truth.
I mean, I think there's people that he at least halfway considers reputable that if they send him something, he won't, he won't fact check it. He'll just go ahead and state it like it's true. And then something like this comes out, and then now it's just where he's just like, he don't really address it. He just kind of moves on, because what are you going to say? Oh, somebody told me that, and I repeat it like it was a fact.
And we found doing the SWA podcast and going through the old observers, we found all kinds of misinformation. Even some of the stuff that he was getting out of the Memphis office was totally different. He was just, I don't know. I consider myself the source during that time, but some of that stuff is just not anything that I told him. So, all right, that was Dave. That was number 9. Our number 8 is always I might know it all. I might not know it all, but I know more than you. And I'm going back to Kyle Fletcher on this one. And wanted to talk about something here. This gentleman is with ESPN and wrote the review and shit on the WWE show pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view, and he's talking about Kyle Fletcher. And by just one match, I've seen this, he's not the only one saying this, by just one match against Hangman Page, and apparently they had a good pay-per-view number. A lot of people bought the pay-per-view, but number one, they didn't have anybody in attendance, and the TV ratings keep going down. But he thinks with just one match, he's actually proven himself as a main event player. How do they come up with this stuff?
I mean, again, it's all just shit that's based in opinion, I mean, I don't know who Andreas Hale is. I don't know what his background is or why his opinion should mean anything to anybody. But I mean, you can sit and argue that all day long, as far as who's the main event, and especially when you go to arguing all these freaking arbitrary numbers that really don't. At the end of the day, none of these numbers matter if you just want to argue what match was better than what match. If Hangman and Kyle Fletcher was better than John Cena and Brock Lesnar or whatever. But that is all subjective. It's all opinion. I'm just not a fan of Hangman Page for a lot of reasons, so I don't particularly enjoy his matches. But I am kind of I'm kind of curious to see this match with Samoa Joe that they're pushing right now. I may find a way to find a clip of that to watch it just because I'm a Samoa Joe fan. And some of these guys, if they get in there with the right person like Joe, we'll have a good match by my standards, but my standards aren't the world standards. So just because I like it or don't like it, I'm not going to say who's wrong or who's right. But, from what I saw of Kyle Fletcher's one match, I didn't think he was a main event player, but clearly I didn't see this amazing match he had with Hangman. So
the thing about it is they're judging it by, here's what's happened in, and I look over the pay-per-view numbers. I still look at ratings, and as you know, I'm a numbers whore. But what has happened is even AEW is not following the typical, if the gates are high, if the ratings are high, then the pay-per-view is high, okay? Mm-hmm. What's happening is the other two numbers are low, but people are still buying pay-per-views, which goes to something that I've said before. It's about a hard, I got on Twitter about this when they were talking about it, but it's a hardcore audience. They're going to buy those pay-per-views because to them, they've been the best pay-per-views they've ever seen. They may not be going to the live events. They may not be watching the show, at all. But they're paying for those pay-per-views, which has made this whole AEW thing kind of odd when it comes to stuff like that. To me, you could still make money by doing that. And I know promotions would love to be making, selling 140 pay-per-views. But to me, my main point was the main event of this pay-per-view didn't prove shit because everybody that wanted to buy it bought it for the event, not the actual match. That's was my point. I feel like they're gonna get into that where the ratings keep going down and people keep not showing up, but everybody's going to be I think their pay-per-view number may go bigger. So who the hell knows? It's really, it's a really weird situation right now with AEW, and we'll talk about next month the new rating system and how people just went crazy about that. But it'll be interesting. Are they going to keep getting more pay-per-views? Or are they going to start falling down with that? I thought it was interesting. Do you remember ROH was getting a lot of when they were doing those pay-per-views where you bought them online there, and they had so many technical difficulties, but they were getting a big number of pay-per-views compared to any other indie promotion, but they still weren't drawing a lot of people. So it's kind of like that. All right, we're going to do the retro moment brought to you by, and we'll run a commercial here in a minute, the USWA Retro Podcast. Talk to us, and I threw this at you because, well, a few reasons, but go ahead and tell us about this retro moment.
So, a blast from the past has kind of been in the news recently. Buford Pusser, they decided that they have found evidence that seems to point to the fact that he may have murdered his wife. This guy who we've immortalized with movies and over in McNairy County, Tennessee, Selmer, Tennessee, and that whole area over there, just worship this guy. They have events every year and week-long things and all this. He may be a murderer, but besides being a cop and the guy who cleaned up McNairy County and was running all the riffraff out there, he also claimed to be a professional wrestler. And there's some 1961 Tennessee newspaper clippings that seem to back that up, saying where he worked for promoter Nick Goulas. Says he began wrestling in Illinois back in 1960. He was said to have wrestled in Wisconsin, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. They list his favorite moves as the skull crusher and the abdominal stretch. Okay. I don't know if his wife could have spoke to the effectiveness of his skull crusher, but she was not available for comment. But there's no verified records of him wrestling outside of Tennessee. These are all just stories that have kind of been abound over the years. Buddy Wayne, if people are familiar with Buddy Wayne, claimed to have teamed with him a few times, and there's a clipping that shows where Pusser wrestled Al Green.
Oh, wow.
October 18th, 1961 in Jackson, Tennessee. Of course, Al Green, very famous in the Tennessee territory. If you had that, he's the guy who shaved Jackie Fargo's head.
Yeah, we talked about that match. Fantastic match, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks like overall, whatever wrestling career he had, as the indie guys like to call it, it was very brief, limited mostly at all. This took place in the year of 1961, and then he becomes more famous for being a sheriff in Tennessee who went around knocking heads and inspired the 1973 movie Walking Tall, which starred Joe Don Baker. If you're not a Joe Don Baker fan, what's wrong with you?
That's right. And I mean, was you a fan of this movie growing up? Do you remember it?
I remember seeing it like being in the room like when my mom and dad was watching it. But the main thing I remember about it, they played the living shit out of this on TBS because I would be watching wrestling on Saturday night. Tonight, after wrestling, it's 7:05. Joe Don Baker is Buford Pusser in Walking Tall. And after that, Walking Tall 2. And then stay tuned for Walking Tall 3. I don't know how many of them having it all in all. But there were
and then we had one loosely. It was called Walking Tall. That starred The Rock. I had a funny story real quick about it. I had seen Rocky Johnson. He lived in my hometown for a while, and I had seen him during the filming. Well, right after this movie came out, and I had said, I saw the movie. I said he's a lot smaller. Talking about The Rock. And he said, Dewey don't have to be huge to be in Hollywood. He's still bigger than everybody else. So there you go. That's what Rocky Johnson told me, that he didn't have to be big in Hollywood. I thought
when I first heard that The Rock was going to be playing a remake of Walking Tall, I'm like, I want to see The Rock come on screen and somebody call him Buford. And then it turns out, they had changed the name. And it's worth mentioning, I believe, isn't Stifler in that as well? So
yes,
Walking Tall remake with The Rock and Stifler from American Pie. So
also, there's something in the movie that I learned while reading this article. I was a view propulsor. I watched Walking Tall, blah, blah, blah. It was a big deal. Neil Taylor had a really fun post. He had the poster. I guess it's in his office or something.
Yeah.
He said it just feels a little different today. And when he said that, I said, what the hell is going on? And I had to go do research. But the movie, didn't he carry the stick that he carried was more like a big wooden bat stick, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, for shoot, it was a 2x4. He carried around a 2x4 like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Yep.
Yeah.
Tough guy.
Yeah. He made famous the phrase walk. What is it? Walk softly and carry a big stick or something.
There
like
you go,
that.
something like that. You done had a stroke too. Both of us had a
That's what
stroke.
That's what roped you into watching that movie, right? When you heard the part about the big
He
stick.
said a big stick.
Oh.
I mean, I was
honey.
I was only 9 years old, but you never know there. Little Brian, you never know. All right, that was brought to you by the USWA Retro Podcast.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that.
Right.
Do what?
So that's right. You seem to gleefully cut his picture out of the commercial there.
I didn't do that. I thought you
But
did that.
His voice is still there.
So number 6 story, counting down, and we talked about Bubba the Love Sponge, and you had some fun stuff to say about him. I actually re-listened to that episode last week, but this goes right along with what you were saying. Dude is wanting to put out a documentary called Video Killed the Radio Star, The Untold Story of the Hulk Hogan Sex Tape. Nick Bolay has done all he can to stop this, and apparently they're not going to be able to show the actual sex tape or clips in the documentary, but the court denied the blocking of the release of the video. So I thought I just brought this up because it's something else that Bubba the Love Sponge is doing, and also let you tell us what kind of piece of shit this Bubba the Love Sponge is.
I mean, the fact that he did that whole ordeal, where he, recorded Hogan banging his wife and sold the tape and all that. But, they didn't have anything to do with each other after all that fallout. And he never had a good word to say about Hogan. He trashed him on his radio show and everything. And then all of a sudden, in the weeks leading up to Hogan's death, when his health was in question, and you would see, like, Bubba the Love Sponge says Hulk Hogan's on his deathbed. Jimmy Hart says, "No way, baby, he's fine." And so, you got Jimmy Hart and his wife, and everybody's like, "No, man, Hulk's great." And then Bubba the Love Sponge on the radio, "No, man, that dude's he's fixing to die for real." And the minute he dies, Bubba the Love Sponge his name will not leave. It's Hulk Hogan's name in his mouth every day. It's all he talks about. He brings Brooke on his show. And has a big long interview with her talking about the issues that she had with Hulk, and there's somewhat estrangement in the last few years. It's just like, he tried all he could to cash in on his friendship with Hogan the whole time they were friends. He tried to cash in on it with sex tape, and then the minute he died, he tried to pick back up where he left off, and he's going to try to cash grab as much as he can while Hogan's name is still fresh in the news. And it's just, I don't know, man. I just find it pretty disgusting. Oh, Todd Clem, a.k.a. Bubba the Love Sponge. What a fucking name that is, by the way.
Oh, I read that. I was listening to that. I was like, we got to bring this, we give away WTF the Fuckinator at the end of every year, and it's the person mentioned the most. And he may get a mention. There's somebody else later on that we've talked about him a lot this year also. But I saw that, and all I could think about, we gotta get Gene to say something else about this guy, because you hit the nail right on the head when it talked about that. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have halftime.
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live. Next Sunday, October 12th, don't miss our annual Halloween Spooktacular featuring Vicky Guerrero. Saturday, October 18th, grab your costume and bring the kids to the Memphis Wrestling Trunk or Treat at the Wrestle Center. Sunday, November 2nd, Frankie Kazarian is coming to Memphis Wrestling. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Get ready, wrestling fans. MCW is bringing you the action like never before. Experience the high-flying moves, the bone-crushing slams, and the rivals that can only be settled inside the square ring. This is family-friendly live professional wrestling at its very best. Don't just hear about it. Be there when the superstars of MCW collide in unforgettable matches you'll talk about for weeks. Tickets are affordable. The action's nonstop, and the excitement is guaranteed. MCW Wrestling, where the future of wrestling happens now. Be there. Going to the Rice Festival in Wiener. Going to the Rice Festival in Wiener. That's right, wrestling at the Rice Festival for the third year in a row for the 49th annual Arkansas Rice Festival. NSR is teaming up with the crew from Texas to bring you one of the most unique cards yet. It's free pro wrestling, live music, rice tasting, full carnival, and much more. 1 p.m. bell time. Be there. I'm going to the Rice Festival at Wiener. Love my mama. All right, quick shout out before we hit at halftime. Brandon is in chat today saying, hey guys, Brandon Wheeler. Thanks, Brandon. We appreciate your support. I know you listen to USWA and you seem to watch all our streams. We do appreciate it. All right, it's time for halftime.
I guess you remember halftime.
All right, halftime. Yeah, I remembered it this time. After looking,
we do it like every other WTF these days.
I got it on the other shows, but for some reason I keep forgetting it. I had a couple people that we kind of talk about it sometimes, and we talked about it on your first WTF, and we kind of gloss. I don't know if we're glossing it over, but people have said, y'all have been doing podcasts together for how long? Or you and Gene seem to have good chemistry, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we've been doing this for a long time. But I look back, I started doing, I think it was in 2007, 2008, when I was doing the website. We came out with some of our first podcasts. Is that that's correct, right?
Yeah, I started them in 2007, and shortly thereafter, you started coming on, and then you started doing one. I think Brian Thompson was doing it with you.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was 2007. For sure, I looked that up, I don't know, a couple of years ago. So, yeah, this has been going on for a while in one form or another. We'd go back and forth. I'd be on your show, you'd be on mine, and this and that.
And we did. You did what was Cheap Heat Radio, right?
Yes.
What other? Was there anything else you were doing at that time?
No, at that time it was just Cheap Heat Radio, and it was mostly just all interviews, which was, I don't know. And in some ways it was a headache, but in other ways, man, like back then, it was like me, you, Mark Maron, and like 3 other people were doing podcasts. That was it. There's like 6 of us maybe. So you could ask somebody to do a podcast, they're like, what the fuck's a podcast? And so after you explained it to them, they would do it. It was easy as hell to get guests for a podcast because nobody was doing them. And people
tell me all the people that you had as a podcast.
Yeah, people love to hear themselves talk. So like, dude, I mean, we had Jimmy Hart and
Cornette. Did Cornette do it?
Cornette did one with me. Did the couple with Jamie Dundee early in the morning where he was all lucid and
oh yeah.
Which led to the Randy Hales series of interviews. Ali, Steve Sharp, Mike DiBiase, Nick Dinsmore, Jimmy Hart. I don't know if I already said his name or not. The big one that it does not exist anywhere. I cannot find it anywhere. I interviewed freaking Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah, because I was doing a book. Yeah, and I got you connected with. Yeah. It's crazy because here's the thing. I don't have regrets in life, Gene. I really don't. I just try never to do that. It's a good rule. That and don't be jealous of anything. And if I can give anyone advice at 58 years old, but here's what I should have done. Let me just say that. When I quit the website at the 5-year mark, I actually sent out, we're done on the 5-year anniversary. I made a big deal for like 2 weeks. We got a big announcement. See you later. Bye. Fuck y'all. But what I should have done was keep doing podcasts. And if we would have done that, you would have jumped on sometime. I mean, it would have been just from 2000, we quit in 2011, and I went from 2011 to 2017 before I came back. We called it season 3 or something when we first started out, season 2, just as a number. Yeah. But we would have been, still doing it. I didn't interview anybody real famous, I guess is the word. I do know that me and Brian kind of just did that thing where you just talked about wrestling. I did have some shows where we had a bunch of people on it. Like one time we had Derek, I think that one's still out there somewhere. Derek King, Kevin White, a bunch of people on that. Yeah. Cody Melton, a bunch of people on that show, and had a really good time doing that. But it was a lot. It was that Blog Spot or what was it? Blog Talk Radio, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I did it on for a long time. And I would start and stop. I'd do it for a while, then I'd stop, then I'd pick it back up, and then I'd stop. And then when I picked it back up the one time, I had no freaking clue what year it was. Holy shit. By then, everybody and their mama was doing podcasts. It was getting hard to get people to do interviews. Then people was like, y'all pay? Well, fuck you. No, we don't pay. We don't make money off any of this. And so then for a while, like me and Neil Taylor did one together where kind of like what you're talking about, we just talked about different wrestling. And then we bring people on occasionally for interviews on that one. And then it went away. And so it wasn't until, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started doing these review shows and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, I wish I'd have done stuff like that way back then and kept it going. Like you say, this whole time, we would be the longest running podcast out there. But
I like the idea that that we talked about this, I think, on the USWA podcast, that we had thrown around the ideas of doing like old USWA and people watching USWA and reviewing it. And then, I was one of those people that told you, yeah, I'm not interested. Nobody's going to listen to that shit anyway. And, I had my own business going kind of thing. So I just really didn't want to add anything else. And then after getting started with it, I was watching the USWA show and then listening to y'all every week as a listener, as a fan. I was so into that. And I was like, damn, me and Gene should have started doing this when we was doing. Was it really that good? Was our best series there that we did, and then by the way, real quick, we're going to do a new one coming up, talking about Flex Cabana in Rocktober in that corner there. You see that Rocktober logo, but there that explains us. We have known each other because we met each other through a wrestling show. By the way, I've in contact with Mike Anthony, and he may join me for a show to talk about the old Mid-South at the MSWA was what it was called. That's where we met, and then just hit it off and do a podcast.
He added me on Facebook in the last few days, so I thought something must have sparked that. So now that makes sense now.
I didn't even know he existed anymore. Killer's gone, and to me, everybody's gone. So, all right, here we go. That was halftime, folks. All right, halftime. Gene doesn't. I don't think Gene likes my dancing. I'm sorry.
There's only room for one dancer on this show. I'll let you be him.
If you're listening to the show, I have put a link for the studio audience link, and if you want to join us, we do Patreon. We can do an after show chat for a few minutes and talk about some other stories. But you can actually jump in and watch the show and be part of the studio audience. All right, we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Gene, I'm gonna let you read this one. If you can see it all. Can you see it?
No, there's a whole corner of it blocked out.
All right, hold on just a minute. Let me get that off real quick, and you can read this one. You don't have to read it all, but start out with what it says. All right, there we go.
All right. It says, me and my girlfriend had floor tickets at All Out in the NE2 section. During 0 hour, we were met with a pungent smell that became unbearable. She has slight sensory smell issues, so I understand. I can usually put up with something slightly uncomfortable, but man, I had not smelled something that pungent at a venue ever. It was so bad we had to go to fan services and request any possible alternative seating arrangement. We gave up our floor seats for worse seating with an obstructed view of the ring because an obstructed view was better alternative than having to put up with whatever that smell was. Coming from a trading card game where players will get disqualified at events for bad hygiene, I really wish that was something that would be implemented into concerts and shows. There's no excuse for anyone smelling that bad to the point we had to give up good seats we paid money for so that we could have a bearable experience for the next 5 to 6 hours. Please shower and wear deodorant. Wow.
Now, the number 5 is Smarks be acting crazy. And I really think they acting crazy if they're not taking a bath. But AEW, awful wrestling. It is wipe, flush, and wash, folks. Come on. Don't be stinky. We always use something from at AEW FUL Wrestling on Twitter. He's got some funny stuff, and that I thought that was really funny. The next thing up with the acting crazy, I always find a story where all of a sudden we go one stage, no one says anything about it. Then they show a video or something, and they will not shut up about it on Twitter. So that's what happened to it. I didn't want to get a copyright strike real quick, so let me describe what we're seeing. We're seeing Skinny Rock, Gene, and I want you to know Twitter blew up with Skinny Rock. What I think they thought he had. Man, you can tell I'm an '80s child, can't you? Because I'm fixing to say they thought he had them AIDS, and they were just. He's lost 40 pounds. He's lost. Why is he so skinny? He must be sick. Did you get excited about Skinny Rock?
No, not at all. I mean, you think wrestling fans would have a better understanding of people cycling on steroids? I mean, if you follow, like, if you keep up with Stallone, he does the same thing. The dude will get jacked for a Rambo movie or a Rocky movie, And then when he goes back to doing like Tulsa King or whatever, he'll get off the steroids and he'll go back down to a normal person size until he needs to get that way again. I mean, the last time we saw The Rock, I'm sure he couldn't wipe his own ass because he's just arms are out like that, the night of the Cena turn or whatever. And yeah, I guess he's doing a different movie now where he didn't need to be that big, so he's not that big. But yeah, like you said, everybody was losing their mind that either, he was riddled with the AIDS or he's got some other illness that, he couldn't speak on. But what passes for news and gets people to post for days on end is just unbelievable to me.
I just had so much fun with Skinny Rock. I was just like, I wanted to make a whole animated TV show about Skinny Rock. And then all I could think
it has to be better than Young Rock.
What? Hey, I like that show. Come on, man.
Okay, all right. There's a lot of people who was on that show that watched this, could potentially watch this show, so we'll leave it alone.
Yeah. What Rocky Johnson said to me today. Dewey don't have to be big to be in Hollywood. There you go. That's what I should have commented. And our final thing with acting crazy was the Gail Kim story. Gail Kim said something about Rio in AEW and how she's presented as a wrestler and everything. And then everybody from AEW and Dave Meltzer jumped on Gail Kim and just kept insulting her over and over and over until she finally issued a statement saying, come on, give me a break here. I saw Rio. This is my opinion. That goes back to her opinion. And then Kenny Omega made a shitty comment. Another day, another legend doing the splits on it for the yearly TKO gift basket, as if she's a WWE plan or something. I thought that was a real shitty comment. What do you think about I guess the word we hate using, tribalism, was going on here, right?
Oh my God. If I could never hear that stupid ass word again.
Sorry, I apologize.
I would be so happy. But yeah, I mean, I just, it's so silly. I don't even really want to talk about it. I don't know why it blew up and became what it did. I could see if it was, Jim Cornette or JBL or some old white guy had made some comment about Rio, but it's Gail Kim. I mean, she's a woman. I mean, usually they can have opinions about other women and not be a huge deal, but boy, this sure got out of hand. That whole Kenny Omega thing just.
The Rio was really, I hate to say this. I don't know if this is, but it felt like, for the same people that watch anime, that look at the little girls, the young Asian girls, and the camera was going in and out of crotch shots and whatever. And that's what it felt like. That was the character. And that's what it was. She's a friend of Omega's, and he brought her over here. And then she got off Twitter because people were bullying her. Gene, man, I don't even consider bullying on Twitter. I'm sorry. I know the only part that I think is bad is when there should be something when kids go home. You can't bully it. Look, you can bully people at school, but when they go home, you can't bully them. How about that? That's the way I feel. I mean, I was bullied
You're pro-bullying in public, just not at home. That's safe.
Right.
That's home base, right? It's safe. Can't do it here. That's fair.
We're gonna start doing shirts and doing a whole campaign about bullying only at school. So bullying only at school. There,
I tried to get a promotion one time back when the anti-bullying thing was real big on WWE. I tried to get them to let me and a guy I was managing start a pro-bullying campaign. We were gonna get shirts made and all that shit, but they wouldn't let us do it.
I love that. All right, let's go to number 4. Wrestlers behaving badly on this one, not the fans, but the wrestlers. You want to go over this story about TNA Knockouts champion? What happened with her?
Not really.
All right. So the next story. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, if you want to read it or whatever the fuck you can, I'm not reading all this. I don't give a fuck about TNA Knockouts enough to read this much shit that's in front of me right now.
A lot of stuff going on with her. apparently, allegedly, she was beating her partner. You know, they give her real name and all that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff with TNA spokesman saying that that they had to confirm everything. The main reason I brought that story up was that it goes back to that whole thing where if somebody says something online, what if I get online and it just starts spreading about, well, Gene bullied me, beat me up, sexually assaulted me, and none of it's true. We don't ever know if what is true and what's not true with the wrestling stuff.
Well, luckily you got enough heat. I would probably be more popular than ever if you got online and said I was bullying you. I would get a bunch of like congratulation tweets and shit. But
Well,
yeah, I
that's
see
true.
what you're saying. I see what you're saying though. It's like anybody can just go online and make any kind of accusations. Because I mean, I think, and we're not going to. God knows we're not going to get into this. Not here anyway. This is a hot mics type conversation. But I think there was a few people that got taken down during the old Me Too shit that there was no evidence of. They never got convicted of anything. There was never even charges brought against them, but they have been blackballed from the industry because some people wanted to get their name out there and talked about and have their 15 minutes of fame. And I'm not saying this isn't true here, but once other people see that, oh, you mean all I got to do is go online and make accusations and they're going to get pulled off TV, potentially lose their job and get dragged through the mud. And then even if it comes out it's not true, not near as many people will print the contraction as they will the original story.
Yeah.
You notice that, everybody will print the story where somebody did something bad, but very few will print the retraction later. They'll put it down on the bottom of the story. Oh yeah, and by the way, that guy didn't do that.
I like it that TNA just said, look, we got an internal investigation going on instead of, I remember Matt Riddle having so many problems when he was in, he had went from Evolve to NXT, but none of them were proven. And I was, and Triple H was running it then, and I was actually on, Triple H didn't have any proof, so he didn't fire him until he got proof of something that Matt was doing. So, the next thing was Booker T acting crazy. He said, I gotta pop my dick, man. That's what he said on commentary during NXT. But is that true? No. Since no one can understand what the fuck Booker T's saying, he said, I gotta pop my neck, man, not my dick. So the internet went crazy on that one too. But I wrote it as him acting.
Did we have to depend on closed captioning for that one, or everybody's just kind of taking it for granted?
They couldn't understand. Now, in returning, wrestlers behaving badly, Matt Riddle.
CM Punk's a bitch. He can't beat me if he wants to step up. He's a nice enough guy, and you agree with it. And I think he's fake, and I think he's a creep.
He went on to say in the interview about that CM Punk hung around all the young girls at NXT when he went to the NXT locker room and blah, 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 blah. And part of me was just like, man, Riddle, it's just time to shut up. There's so much. There's no WWE's never going to use him again, Gene. Never.
And then the assholes in online saying this past week, I would gladly go into the Hall of Fame if they offered. Like, fuck it. Hall of Fame? Are you kidding me? Like, they wouldn't give you a job right now, much less put you. What have you done to be worthy of going to the Hall of Fame? And I'm sure next month we're gonna have to sit and talk about how this dipshit did a fucking worked attack of a podcaster on some shit a couple
that was horrible. I may not even show that. So
fuck Matt Riddle and everything about him.
Yeah. He might be the what the fuckinator before the year is up. So there was a story, and I put this on here. We had talked about it a little bit. I think we talked about it on USWA, where Jerry Lawler had suffered a stroke. It was on TMZ. It has been corrected, but it was the funniest thing ever. When they talked to someone, they said they talked to Jerry's daughter. They changed it to ex-fiance and caregiver, but I'm assuming, oh my God, they still got it up there that they talked to the caregiver, and then they said his daughter's taking him back to his primary residence. His daughter.
Well, that's bound to happen when. Anyway.
When you're his age and you've got a 23-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah.
And you wonder why Lawler's having all these strokes. Get well.
No comment. No comment.
Get well.
Lord.
We had a couple of stories, and number 3 was Shock Me, and we kind of turned it into, it's almost like TK's doing something stupid every month, but one of them is TK, and you're going, what the fuck? The other one is a good feel-good story about TK, so you wonder where his mind is. The first one was he rescheduled a pay-per-view to go to a wedding of MJF's. So I thought that was funny as hell. How do you reschedule one of you? It tells you whether you care about ROH or not, right?
Well, I'm sure MJF's wedding drew more than the ROH views would have been for the ROH pay-per-view. So I don't blame him on that one.
And then we got to give him kudos. We give him hell all the time, but we're not going to say when he does something good, we're not going to shit on him. And you can talk about this, but he had an Eddie Gilbert tribute. Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich both from your podcast, where you do a podcast with those two guys. Tell us what happened at that show.
So we were getting ready to record a podcast that week, and they had a big week planned already. They had a fair show in Lexington that Wednesday night. They had like Ripley, Tennessee on Friday and Dyersburg on Saturday or whatever. And then they had Jackson, Tennessee for a Comic-Con on Sunday. And so Doug asked me before we started recording, he said, hey, when's the last time I talked to you? And I said, last week sometime. He said, have I talked to you since I got the call about Philadelphia? I was like, no. He said, oh, okay. Well, he said, I was at work Monday or Tuesday, whatever day it was. He said, and I looked down, I got a text from Tony Khan, says, can I call you? And I put back, sure. So, and, you know, he's done some stuff, you know, Tony's brought him in for meet and greets and some different things for AEW at different times. And Doug has always had nothing but good things to say about Tony. He always pays him well. And there was one instance where he wasn't, after they scheduled him, he wasn't able to make a couple of shows because of something was out of his control. Tony went ahead and paid him anyway, even though he wasn't there.
Wow.
But Tony calls him and he's like, hey, man, I want to bring you up here to Philadelphia for our Collision taping Thursday night. And didn't really tell him what it was about. Just said he wanted to have him up there for an appearance.
Oh, he didn't tell him what they were going to do?
No, they didn't know what they were going up there for. He said, this one bring you up here for an appearance. And Doug said, well, man, I want to do it. He said, the only problem is, Tony, he said, Tommy Rich is going to be here with me. We got some shows booked that week. And Tony goes, perfect. Bring Tommy with you. I'll pay Tommy. I'll buy his plane ticket.
Oh, wow.
The whole nine. And so he flew the guys up there. He paid them. He put them in a hotel. He brought Sting in. No telling what he paid to fly Sting to Philadelphia, have him paint his face and all that to go out there and do a non-televised segment. So what they did when they got done with the taping, Tony came out. He introduced Doug. Doug got to speak. He brought out Tommy, and Tommy got to speak. He brought out Jeff Jarrett, who was already there, but, you know, brought him out. Sting, they had one of Eddie's jackets there and a crown, and Tony had on like a Hot Stuff shirt. Just put Eddie over and talked about how, you know, Eddie was the king of Philadelphia, and it was, you know, the 35-year anniversary of his passing, and just really cool, man. Doug and Tommy had a great time. He went on, you know, both of them went on and on about how respectful all the workers were to him, how good Tony treated them, and just what a great locker room they have. So, you know, I mean, say what you want about Tony's booking. That's, you know, it is what it is. It's silly at the end of the day. But by all accounts, Tony Khan loves the business. He's a guy like one of us who, if we had a bunch of money, we could buy our way into it if we wanted to, you know. I mean, he's the guy who used to sit around and do like fantasy booking on wrestling message boards like I used to do, 25 years ago. And then now I feel like he's doing it on Wednesday night. He's doing
he is, and that was actually my comment.
That's my gripe. But I mean, he's a good dude, and he don't have to spend out money to honor somebody like Eddie Gilbert, who's never worked for him, but he does. And it means a lot to guys like, friends of mine, like Doug and Tommy. Just the money they made off that trip does a lot for Tommy. It helps him out. He had a good month this month just from that, so just really cool, man. I can't put over enough,
I can't either.
How much I respect the guy for stuff like that.
Yeah. He is a fan. He's an observer reader. He's a big, huge fan. He's been a huge fan for a long time. But that's kind of, I think that's why I got behind him so much at first. Not only the alternative, but for the idea that he was one of us with a gazillion dollars. But Gene, I got some faith in that I could book some wrestling, but if I had all that money, I think I would hire some people that's done it before to put together television and stuff. That's his big mistake right there, is he has not spent some of that money to get a booker that knows what they're doing. And as much as you want to say, I think he listens, as much as people say, I agree with, he listens to Dave Meltzer too much. So I really think that.
Yeah.
But kudos to him. You have a podcast with them talking about that, and it's really funny talking about catering. So good.
Yeah, check out that episode because it's a lot of fun. And Tommy told us all about the catering and the prime rib and not, and they had some fun making fun of Jeff Jarrett going back through the line getting food.
He was just getting a little bit every time.
Just a little
bit. All right, we're at number 2. We're only going to do just a snippet of this one on number 2 because we covered it. It was number 1 last month, but it's a quick update. We talked about Rashad Jackson and how I thought he should be arrested, that he's not part of the business, blah, blah, blah. But he has been arrested. So for the brutal attack on that at that show. Also, we talked about this a little bit, but Rikishi's promotion after the attack, no longer part of WWE ID. So by that guy jumping in the ring and doing what he did, there has been some problems with that. And I say big thumbs up to everyone who arrested him. I really think so. I think he should have been arrested. He shouldn't have been around the ring. Or shouldn't have jumped in the ring like he did.
Yeah, that was just whether it happens inside of a wrestling ring or not, I mean, that was just an unprovoked assault. At that point, it's not part of a show. It's not anything to do with wrestling. That's just a freaking assault on another human being. And yes, he definitely should have been arrested. We'll see how it plays out from here. And as far as Rikishi goes, we said this about somebody else earlier. Rikishi, dude, shut the fuck up, man. Like, I was saying the other day where he's like griping about how they're using Jacob Fatu. Like, dude, you're going to get the push of everybody in your family completely squashed if you don't shut up on these podcasts. Like,
hey, dude, we had him for 1 month. That might have been last month where he talked about you don't get pregnant. Shouldn't be getting pregnant if you're the champion. Shit like that, you just don't do it.
He was mouthing off about Jey Uso's title reign. The next thing you know, Jey ain't got a title no more. I wonder
too. Real quick, our number 1 story, it had to be number 1, mainly because it's really bizarre that somebody is kidnapping people. And number 2, the guy doing the kidnapping is all over the internet. Huge AEW and wrestling fan. I'm going to show this clip. It's only a little bit, a minute and a half, but it explains everything, and then we can comment on it afterwards.
A pastor's son is being accused of a deadly forced friendship ring where he confined 4 people to a basement. This lunatic incel is a wrestling fan, but not just any wrestling fan. He's a sicko.
It appears that he is the son of a Baptist pastor in Lancaster, South Carolina. It also appears he's just a huge fan of professional wrestling. His social media shows him with several wrestlers, and this one in some ways is sadly ironic because you can see a chain around Birchfield's neck.
The feds found photos of this maniac at AEW shows, and a thumbnail has gone viral of this basement booker wearing that weird AEW varsity sweat jacket. You know the one that really embraces 2002 Dungeons and Dragons chic. Let this be a reminder that this is probably the best of what AEW's sicko fan base has to offer, because he's one of the rare all-elite incels who actually has been outside. And for all you tribalists who want WWE whataboutism, I got you. Rhea Ripley had a stalker. Liv Morgan had a stalker, and the WWE PC has had to deal with some creepy types, most notably Sonya Deville's stalker. But what about the fact that none of them posed with the president of the company, which tells me that Tony Khan is one giant bank account away from being one of them. People talk shit about trust fund kids, but being a Nepo baby saved the lives of Tony Khan and countless targets of internet wrestling fans. Between this and another AEW fan complaining how bad the sickos smelled in the front row, I guess they call them sickos for a reason, because a pastor's son is
not funny when it comes to what was going on. There's all kinds of stuff still coming out about that. Apparently somebody else at the house was arrested, also a girl that was arrested during all of this. But I thought it was funny, I guess. I'm going to say funny that he was wearing all AEW stuff, big AEW fan. He even had one of the old, I think it was The Wrestler. You remember that magazine?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. And it had the Super Strong Machines on it. And he was pointing and had his hand, huge wrestling fan. That was actually from Twitter at This Is Nasty. That's where that video came from. Any comments about this guy from Lancaster, South Carolina?
I mean, son of a pastor, wrestling fan. I mean, I know there's got to be some like northern people who are just having, a field day with that. But as far as like the AEW, I mean, he could have just easily had a bunch of WWE shit on. You know what I mean? Like, it's. I don't know that being a wrestling fan has anything to do with, what he's accused of. But I don't know, man. It's just wrestling fans get enough bad publicity. Like, come on, dude. Why you got to do this?
We've exchanged messages on Facebook where I actually say, I think me and you might be the normal ones. And that's pretty damn scary, guys. I mean, me and Gene, older gentlemen putting out podcasts and still watching wrestling, even going back and watching. What we do is, if you just tell someone that's not a wrestling fan, they kind of think you've lost your mind kind of thing. But here's another reason I made this number one. Gene, this is right down my line with me. I love the idea of a good true crime story. And I love wrestling. So and I love my mama, by the way. And you put all of these things together, and I'm sitting there watching, a true crime story about a wrestling fan and thinking to myself, well, yeah. But this guy I thought was really funny putting it all together and poking at the AEW sickos. That was our number one story, Gene. You got anything you want to put over before we get out of here?
Just the usual. Check out USWApodcast.com to keep up with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Check out DougGilbertPodcast.com. Dangerous Conversations will be returning here in a couple of weeks. Doug's on vacation, and Tommy's had some things to take care of. We won't go into because it's not my place to say, but nothing bad, just some family illnesses and things that's being dealt with. And check out my Patreon, patreon.com/@Retro Wrestling Archive. I've got an article up over there about Bobby Davis. I just put a part 1 up of a 4-part series I'm doing on Jackie Fargo today. It's completely free. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to pay. You don't have to do anything, but just click on the site. You can read the article and tell me what you think. and we're going to have a clarification on this week's Hot Mics if you are part of the Retro Wrestling Archive Patreon, to kind of clarify about something that got mentioned somewhere recently about the fact that I was looking at doing a Jackie Fargo book, and I said I got some advice not to do it, and then some other people twisted that into something. So we're going to talk about the reasons why I decided not to and all that on our post-show.
And I had the perfect response to that. I was just, I don't know. Well, maybe. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what I thought about it. So there you go. Guys, same bad time, same bad channel. Stick with us. If you're on Patreon, you'll get a little extra, not much tonight. And same bad time, same bad channel, the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. And as everyone knows, we got to know this by now, I love my mama.